Hey there, folks! Today, we're diving into a conversation that's been buzzing worldwide. Is Korea, the global hub of pop culture, really going down? We'll be diving deep into the challenges on the horizon for Korea, backed up with data, and of course, I'll be throwing in my 2 cents along the way. You might recognize Korea for its dazzling entertainment scene, from Gangnam Style to BTS to Blackpink. Or maybe you're familiar with Korea as the birthplace of mukbang, or the epicenter of esports. And for those who've been around a bit longer, Korea's miracle on the Han River or the Korean War might ring a bell. But before we tackle the heavy stuff, let's take a moment to unpack the real challenges staring Korea in the face today. Among the myriad challenges, 2 key issues stand out. Firstly, there's the plummeting birth rate, which paints a grim picture of Korea's future population. And then, there's the disturbing surge in suicide rates, hinting at deeper societal woes. Let's start with the elephant in the room: Korea's infamous low birth rate. It's no secret that Korea's been leading the pack in this department for a while now. Unfortunately, Korea is like Lionel Messi, Faker, or LeBron James when it comes to low birth rates: unbeatable. According to the latest stats, the birth rate in Q4 2023 hit a rock-bottom 0.65, a historic low. To put things in perspective, Korea's birth rate has dipped lower than Europe during the plague era. Now, let's break down what these numbers really mean. To maintain a stable population, we need an average of 2.1 children per woman, a benchmark known as the replacement level. If a country's fertility rate falls below 2.1, like in many developed nations, it's looking at a population decline. And if it goes above 2.1, well, that's where growth kicks in, as seen in places like Egypt. Now, let's crunch some numbers to see just how fast Korea's population is shrinking. With roughly 50 million folks in the mix, you might think a simple multiplication would give us the next generation's count. Multiplying 0.7, the rounded up birth rate, to 50 million, which gives 35 million for the next generation. And the size of one after will be 35 million times 0.7, which is 24.5 million. But hold up, we can't forget about gender. With 50% of the new generation being boys, only half will be fertile. So, even if half of the current population is fertile, we're looking at 6.13 million after 2 generations. Yikes, that's a steep decline, folks. This country is dying out a lot faster than you may think it is. And what about the troubling rise in suicides? Sadly, Korea leads the pack among OECD nations in this grim category. What's even more concerning is the trajectory. Back in 2000, Korea's suicide rate was nowhere near the top. Countries like Hungary, Latvia, and Lithuania recorded higher rates back then. But fast forward to 2019, and it soared 224% above the average. What's fueling this tragic trend? Well, the data suggests a troubling prevalence of depression, with Korea topping the charts among OECD nations by a whopping 68%. Add loneliness to the mix, with single-person households spiking by 7.3% from 2015 to 2022, making up 35% of households in 2022. It's a stark shift from the nuclear family era to the era of the nuclear individual. And let me tell you, as someone who weathered the loneliness storm during the pandemic, it's no walk in the park. According to US Surgeon General Vivek Murthy, loneliness is as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But here's the kicker. Despite the depression epidemic, antidepressant usage remains surprisingly low. That's right, folks. Korea's grappling with depression but shying away from the meds, almost like a self-inflicted catch-22. So we've outlined the major hurdles facing Korea's body and soul. But what's driving these crises? At the core, I'd say it's excessive competition, a byproduct of hyper-capitalism. In Korea, it's all about keeping up with the Kims and Parks next to you, constantly measuring and comparing social status. Getting outstanding grades throughout your student years matters. Getting into a prestigious college matters. Becoming a doctor matters. The car you drive matters. Living in a Han River View apartment matters. And then your kids' grades matter. It's an endless rat race. When the pressure mounts, even animals pause the mating game to focus on survival. Similarly, many Koreans find themselves in survival mode, engrossed in navigating the challenging socioeconomic landscape of Hell Joseon, a term blending hell and the Joseon dynasty too preoccupied to contemplate settling down and building a family. As for the sky-high suicide rates, they hit hardest among older folks left financially strapped after investing heavily in their kids' education. And guess what? The suicide rate is a whopping 2.3 times higher for men, who often shoulder the financial burden. But is it all on them? Should they have hit the brakes on the rat race and taken a breather? According to psychologist Leon Festinger, comparing ourselves to others is human nature. But in Korea, the comparison game hits a whole new level. It's a relentless pursuit of materialism, a race to flaunt the fanciest gadgets and flashiest gear. And here's the kicker. A Pew Research survey asked 17 advanced countries what makes life meaningful. Guess what Korea picked? Material well-being, leaving the family in the dust, while most countries picked family. Let's delve into another set of supporting data. Koreans top the charts in luxury spending, splurging an average of $325 per capita, a whopping 16% more than the US. Now, if we peel back another layer, things start to look a bit absurd. The US boasts a GDP per capita twice that of Korea, yet Koreans are shelling out more for luxury goods. It's a financial head-scratcher and borders on self-destructive behavior. But why the splurge? Well, I reckon it's all about perception. Forking out cash on designer labels like Chanel and Celine creates an illusion of superiority, a way to outshine the competition in the relentless rat race. It's all about that instant gratification and the rush of feeling ahead of the game. Need a real-life example? Just peek into the world of online gaming, where Koreans are notorious for dropping serious cash to gain an edge. It's a similar drive behind luxury spending. The quest to stay one step ahead, even if it means draining the bank account. The mindset? I may not afford that swanky Han River View apartment or land a doctor's paycheck, but darn it, I'll still flaunt my status with flashy purchases. It's a risky game of instant gratification over long-term stability. So, we've laid bare the challenges threatening Korea's very fabric. But enough dwelling on the negatives. Let's talk solutions. During my research, I stumbled upon an intriguing interview that got me thinking. The interview involved two subject experts, Jim Kim, former president of the World Bank and Dartmouth, and Seung-yeon Jo, a renowned writer. Jo posed an interesting question to Kim. If you could wave a magic wand to fix one problem in Korea, what would it be? Kim's answer? Mandate meditation to help Koreans master their minds. Meanwhile, Jo proposed limiting students to 2 hours of study per day. Both perspectives are compelling, but here's where I stand. Competition and hard work are ingrained in Korea's DNA, and they've propelled the country from one of the poorest countries in the 50s to one of the richest countries and vibrant entertainment providers. As long as you live and operate in capitalism, competition is inevitable, and hard work is one of the imperative factors that make a person or even a nation competitive. So rather than capping study hours, why not equip the next generation with coping mechanisms to navigate stress while nurturing that relentless work ethic? And here's my twist on Kim's proposal. Let's prioritize meditation for the current generation and revamp education for the future ones. I think the most critical item we should address is letting more Koreans compete in the arena of their choice while confidently managing personal finances. Instead of fixating on acing Korean SAT for 12 years, let's teach practical skills like wealth building, entrepreneurship, coding, or even YouTube savvy. Providing confidence in their financial future and empowering folks to forge their paths could allow people to take on a wide range of life directions while continuing to hustle the game of their choice. If more Koreans start taking their own journey, it could ease the rat race and make room for more fulfilling lives. If you found this video interesting, share your thoughts in the comments below, especially your proposed solution, and watch other content. Stay curious.